Today we're doing something I've been wanting to do for a while now, ranking every Queen studio album tier list style. This was requested by Jeremy of Metal Music Meltdown when he commented on a post asking about bands that I should rank. I thought it would be a good one, as it might be a little controversial. Queen has one of the most diverse discographies in rock history, and everyone has their favorites. So feel free to put your ranking down there in the comment section. We're going to go through these chronologically so you can see how the band evolved. So let's jump right into it with their 1973 debut. The self-titled debut album introduced the world to a band that was already refusing to be boxed into any single genre. While it's often overshadowed by what came later, the album is absolutely essential for understanding where Queen started. Sound here is heavily influenced by hard rock and heavy metal. You can hear elements of Led Zeppelin and progressive rock, but you already hear the seeds of Queen's theatrical ambitions. Key tracks here include Keep Yourself Alive, which became a concert staple and showcases Brian May's signature guitar tone right out the gate. Then there's Liar and Ambitious, almost 7-minute epic. It shifts through multiple movements and proves the band wasn't interested in playing it safe. Great King Rat is another progressive leaning track that highlights their complexity, and My Fairy King is worth mentioning because it's actually where Freddie's name allegedly originated, from the lyric Mother Mercury, look what they've done to me. This album was also didn't really do or sell great on the charts, but it laid the groundwork for everything that followed. Also has one of Brian May's most metal sounding guitar riffs on Son and Daughter, and has some Christian rock with the song Jesus. But with that being said, I like it. This one is going in the A tier. Next is Queen 2 from 1974. This one is similar to the first album. The band is starting to find their identity. It was released a year after the debut, and it's split into two sides. There's a white side and a black side. And it's a very bombastic, layered and theatrical rock opera before they even got to the actual opera parts. But production is a little denser than the first one. Vocal harmony is a little more intricate. Freddie Mercury's vision is starting to take center stage. Sound is darker, more fantastical. It's almost like gothic rock. But there's some essential tracks like The March of the Black Queen, a 6-minute masterpiece with twists and turns in different sections. It's almost like a blueprint for Bohemian Rhapsody. Then there's Seven Seas of Rye, which gave them a first real taste of chart success. And it's really just an absolute banger with this iconic piano intro. There is the Fairy Fellows Master Stroke. It's a delightfully weird. It's inspired by a Victorian painting. And Ogre Battle, one of the more metal-leaning tracks. Queen 2 is a cult favorite for a reason. It's bold, it's strange, it's captivating. And I like it about the same as the debut, maybe a little less. So I'm going to put it in the A tier. Next is Sheer Heart Attack from 1974. This is where Queen start to become the Queen that people know. It was released later in the same year as Queen 2. Sheer Heart Attack is where they figured out how to balance their progressive and heavy tendencies with their pop sensibility. The album's more accessible, more varied, and a little more fun. Production is cleaner, songs are tighter, and suddenly Queen sounds like a band that could dominate both album rock radio and the pop charts. It's a perfect bridge between their experimental first two albums and the arena rock of what will be coming later in the 70s. You've got Killer Queen, which is their first major international hit and a masterclass in sophisticated pop rock with jazz-inflected chord changes and Freddie's impeccable delivery. Stone Cold Crazy, this is some early proto-thrash metal, and it was covered by Metallica, which we probably all know that. Brighton Rock has some of Brian May's greatest guitar and the iconic guitar solo. Now I'm Here, that's a live staple. It has lots of energy and a sing-along chorus. And this album, Sheer Heart Attack, is where Queen became undeniable. I've always loved this album, so I'm putting this one in the S tier. Next is A Night at the Opera in 1975. This is the big one, and this is the one everyone talks about. So this one is considered to be one of the greatest rock albums ever made. But with that being said, let's see where I rank it. So let's discuss this. It was the most expensive album ever produced at the time, and you could hear every penny from all these arrangements and harmonies and all of that. The sound has a little of everything. There's vaudeville, opera, folk, hard rock, pop, and it's all blended together with a confidence that's almost shocking. This is Queen firing on all cylinders, each member contributing brilliantly, and the result is something that had never been done before and has never been replicated since. Now, we all know Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't need to talk about that, but there's another song I like a little better called The Prophet, which is another like longer epic. That's one that doesn't really get a lot of attention. But there's also Over 39, which is a folk song written by Brian May about space travel and time dilation, because you know he's an astrophysics PhD. You're My Best Friend, that's a pop perfection written by John Deacon. Love of My Life, it's Freddie's ability to write heartbreaking ballads. I'm in Love with My Car, there's another one I love. Now, I understand some people might have this at number one, but for me, there's a little bit of filler on it, and that takes it down a little bit, but it's going in the A tier. Next is A Day at the Races, 1976. This is a follow-up to A Day at the Opera, and this was always going to be hard to follow up, but it's a pretty decent album. It's similar. It has ambition. It's theatrical. It has this clean production and very meticulous. And a lot of people call it A Night at the Opera Part 2, and that's somewhat true, but it's not really a bad thing. The sound is really this big, grand, operatic sound. Lots of harmonies, lots of different styles, but maybe a little more streamlined. Queen is doing what they do best. Maybe a little more polish, a little bit more experimentation. But we have great tracks like Somebody to Love with some gospel influence, and one of those really great songs. Then you have Tie Your Mother Down, just some great rock and roll, one of Brian May's most iconic riffs. Good old-fashioned Lover Boy. This is a throwback to that music hall traditions, and the Millionaire Waltz, showing their continued love for complex arrangements. Solid album, maybe a little underrated, but it was a little bit of a step down from opera, so it's going in the B tier. Next is News of the World from 1977. So this is where Queen strips it back a little bit. After two albums with the big production and all the elaborate songs and arrangements, News of the World is more raw and direct. It's Queen's hard rock album. It has two of the most iconic stereo anthems in rock history to start off the album. Sounds punchier, less layered, more aggressive, and it was a response to punk rock at the time. But they succeeded. We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, that starts off the album, so that's really great. But after this is a song called Sheer Heart Attack, which is a song written like many years earlier and probably would have been on that album, but that's like a punk rock song, like the most punk sounding Queen song you'll ever hear. Then after this, Spread Your Wings, it's kind of has like a pretty cool message about dreams. Now, you would think, being that it's a rock album, I would rank it high, but after the first three tracks, there's not really much going on, but it's not bad. It's still going in the B tier. But let me also say, if I was ranking album covers, this would definitely be like all the way up in S or number one. This is like their best album cover. But anyway, moving on. Jazz, 1978. This is one of the most divisive albums, and I understand why. Because you have all the anthems of News of the World, but then Queen went into a different direction. They got experimental and eclectic, and it's kind of all over the place. The title is misleading because there aren't really any jazz songs on here, but it's Queen doing all these different things and just seeing what works. The sound is very varied, maybe too varied for some people's taste. You got hard rock, pop, funk, rockabilly, and a little bit of jazz, but it's less cohesive than previous albums, but it has some good stuff on it. We have Fat Bottom Girls and Bicycle Race. Those are the big hits. They're kind of fun. They're just have some really great hooks. Don't Stop Me Now, that's one of the most beloved songs of all time, one of their best ones. It wasn't really a massive hit initially, but it's one of those songs that has stood the test of time. There's a weird song called Mustafa, which opens the album. It has this Middle Eastern sound, and it's sung partly in Persian, and it's kind of weird for Queen at the time, but it's a fearless album. There's something admirable about it, but it's not too bad. It's one of those albums I had never listened to before. I've known the singles, but with that being said, it's going in the B tier. Next is The Game from 1980. This one is personal for me because The Game was the album that I had when I was like 9 years old. I used to listen to records in my basement when I was very young, and I had all these different classic rock albums from the Beatles, Doors, and I had one Queen album. This was it, and I used to listen to it all the time. I listened to another one, Bites the Dust, and I also liked A Crazy Little Thing Called Love. But this is a really great album. It was very popular, and it's Queen moving in a different direction and getting a little more cleaner. There's more the 80s, the synthesizers, a little more radio friendly. Some people didn't like it, but Queen, they're never the type of band that does one thing. They're kind of adapting their sound. So other than the other two hits, there's some other good stuff like Play the Game that has kind of like an 80s sound, but it's a very memorable song. There's Save Me, that's a ballad, and that one doesn't really get a lot of credit. But The Game, it's a solid album. It's polished, it's accessible, it has the hits, and I'm a little biased because of childhood memories, but it still holds up, and I'm putting it in the S tier. Next is Flash Gordon from 1980. So this one is kind of a wild card. It's Queen's soundtrack to that campy sci-fi film of the same name, and it's unlike anything else in their catalog. It's not a traditional album, it's a soundtrack, so lots of instrumentals, the orchestrations, and score, or whatever you want to call it, movie dialogue, and all of that. There's not really many like proper songs, except for like the one song that we all know, the Flash Gordon's theme song, whatever that's called. But it's a lot of like space opera. It's very theatrical, it's bombastic, it's over the top, and it fits with the film. The synths and orchestration, and Brian May still has some great guitar work on this, and it kind of goes hand in hand with his love of sci-fi. So it's Queen doing a film score. Another song called The Hero, which is probably another rocker that could have fit on one of her other albums. But another good song, Football Fight. That's a pretty cool, like, it's more an action sequence and battle theme. It's epic and symphonic, and Brian May is so great. With that being said, it's not the type of album that I'm going to listen to, and it's not like horrible, but it's kind of album like you listen to it once and just to see what it's all about. And if you're in the mood for something like a movie soundtrack, it's okay. But given that it's not something you're going to go back to, it's going in the D tier, which doesn't mean horrible. It's just like at the bottom. Next is Hot Space from 1982. So this is probably the most controversial album. This is the band just completely changing, moving into the 80s. It's dance, funk, R&B. It doesn't really sound like a rock album. A lot of their fans hated it at first, and it's all over the place, but not always in a good way. But there are some really good songs, and that's kind of gonna save it from like the way bottom. But there's mostly like drum machine, synths, funk, and the guitars are kind of more in the background, which is kind of a bold move for the band, and fans didn't always like it. But we got the great song Under Pressure. That's the best song on the album, obviously, with David Bowie. It has Freddie, David Bowie. This is just an awesome song, one of the best songs, hands down. Vanilla Ice sampled it, and that's pretty much how I found out about the song. The other good stuff, Put Out the Fire. It's pretty decent, a little more traditional Queen rocker, and it has a message about gun violence, so that's pretty cool. Calling All Girls, that was another one. It was very new wave, very 80s, had a weird music video, but I liked that one. It was catchy and memorable and body language. Another one, very funky, kind of sounds like Prince or something like that. Very weird, but I kind of liked it. So this one is hard because I didn't like most of the album, but the one song, or the few songs I did, I liked a lot. So that's going to keep it out of the D tier, and it's going in C tier. Next is The Works, 1984. This is Queen's response to the criticism of Hot Space. It's kind of like a course correction, but it's like half of Hot Space with that 80s pop and half of like classic Queen. So it's kind of like a little mix, but it always like doesn't, it's not like a great album, but it's a little step up from Hot Space. Sounds more balanced than the previous album. The guitars come back a little more. You still have the synthesizers, still have the 80s sound, the new wave, the production. It's Queen trying to like have the best of both worlds. They want to please the rock fans, but they want to stay relevant on pop radio. And the result is kind of mixed. We have some good songs like Radio Gaga. That's the great single. That's where Lady Gaga got her name. You probably know that already. But we have I Want to Break Free. That's another great song, great hit, memorable bass line. And another good song, Hammer to Fall. This is one of the heavier, harder rocker songs and another live staple. And It's a Hard Life, a pop ballad. It shows Freddie's vocals. The Works has some good singles, but it also has a lot of filler. It has some stuff that doesn't work. It's good, but better than Hot Space, but still, it's not a B. It's going in the C tier. Next is The Kind of Magic, 1986. Now, this is a good return to form. Like, this is a lot better than the two previous albums. Queen is back, and it's much better than Hot Space, much better than The Works. And a lot of the album, it's kind of a soundtrack as well. A lot of it was written for the film Highlander. So for that reason, there's a lot of cinematic quality on it, and that kind of like brings the album up. It's very big, it's epic, it's grandiose, it has big production value. There's a lot of like drama that's been missing from the recent albums. It's a perfect balance between rock and the pop accessibility. The songs feel inspired again. They're not just like going through the motions. One Vision opens the album with pure power. It has that driving energy, layered vocals, and it reminds you what Queen is capable of. Kind of Magic is very majestic, it's anthemic, and a fan favorite. Who Wants to Live Forever? Great song, one of Freddie's best vocal performances, and I love listening to that one. Give Me the Prize, a hard-hitting rocker that has that Highlander vibe in Princes of the Universe, another heavy hitter, and that was the theme for the Highlander TV series, which I've never actually watched, neither the movie nor the TV series, but I like the music and I like it a lot. And these are my favorite tracks. There's not really much filler. This is one of the best albums in a long time. It kind of feels like Queen remembering who they are, doing what they do best. It's strong, it's confident, and it proves they still have it. That's why one is going in the A tier. Next is The Miracle from 1989. This came after a 3-year gap. And you hear the band taking time, being more deliberate with the material. It's not the same level of A Kind of Magic, but it's better than The Works. It's better than Hot Space. And it's solid late period. Queen has some real highlights. Sound is polished 80s pop with some harder songs thrown in. It's not a metal album, but I actually remember watching the world premiere for the music video for I Want It All on Headbangers Ball way back in the day, which is kind of funny in retrospect. I thought it was kind of weird that Queen was on Headbangers Ball back then, and even still. It was one of those videos they played like right in the beginning of the show. But Queen was all over MTV during that time anyway, so they were kind of throwing them anywhere they could. But other than that, I Want It All has a big ambitious rocker, has Brian May's guitar work front and center, there's Breakthrough. That's another really great song. It's very energetic, has this locomotive theme, and just a pretty cool music video. And The Invisible Man, this is like a very 80s song. It's very cheesy. Sounds like something could have been on the previous like 2 or 3 albums, but I like it. It's lots of synth-heavy production and a little goofy, but I like it. And the title track, The Miracle, is really great, beautiful ballad, and it really has a meaningful vibe to it. But it's a good album. It's kind of like in the middle of their discography. Not their best, not their worst, but it's strong enough for B tier. Next is Innuendo, 1991. This is Queen's final studio album with Freddie Mercury, and knowing that adds a lot of weight to the listening experience. The album has some really great highs, a really great start, but it's kind of uneven. The first 3 songs are awesome, but the middle of the album drags a little bit, but then it picks up towards the end. The sound is mature and diverse. There's heavy prog rock, there are delicate ballads, there's a sense of the band pulling from the entire history. Freddie's vocals are astonishing considering what he was going through at the time. This is Queen just sticking around. They're not going quietly. They're creating one more album that's great. Title track, Innuendo. The 6-minute epic, it opens the album, has that Spanish guitar that's pretty cool. The massive, powerful riffs. It's a Queen just being very ambitious. I'm Going Slightly Mad. It's very theatrical. Has a vaudeville charm with a very weird music video. And Headlong, high energy rocker. That's a really great song. But then after that, those three songs, it kind of drags a little bit, but then picks up again with Hitman, which is one of their heaviest songs in a long time. That's a harder rocker. And then it closes with The Show Must Go On, which is one of their best songs, considering the context of the album. It's heartbreaking and triumphant. But it's Freddie Mercury just showing he can still sing despite the circumstances. Innuendo is strong. It's a good final statement from one of the greatest rock bands ever. It's not perfect front to back, but it has enough highs that's going to keep it out of the C tier, so it's going in the B tier. Okay, one more album, Made in Heavy, 1995. It's a posthumous album for Freddie Mercury, 4 years after he died. It's kind of hard to assess this album because I understand the emotional significance of why it was made and the circumstances, and the band members took Freddie's final vocal recordings and they basically built songs around them. So it's basically Queen's eulogy for their frontman. So I understand that aspect of it. It's a final gift from Freddie and a tribute from the band. But with that being said, it's kind of slow. The pace is melancholic. It's a sad album, and it makes sense given the context, but it's just not something I'm going to listen to often. I like Queen when they rock hard, and Made in Heaven, it's very ballad heavy, it's very reflective. It has some good moments. The title track, Made in Heaven, is pretty good, has this ethereal quality. Too Much Love Will Kill You, it's a cool Brian May ballad. This one hits hard emotionally. I Was Born to Love You, maybe the best song on the album, has a little bit more energy to it. And Mother Love, it's emotional if you know the story behind it, but Made in Heaven, it's important for the history of the band, but musically, it's not one that I go back to often. It's has its purpose, it's a farewell, and it deserves the respect, but it's not my personal favorite Queen release. For that reason, putting it in the D tier, but above Flash Gordon. So that's all right. That's Queen's discography. Put your ranking in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one.